Hi, today I am going to recap a film called Son of a Gun, so don't forget to subscribe to reach 1K subscribers. Thank you. The movie begins somewhere in Australia as Junior, a 19-year-old kid, is transported into a prison. Junior grew up in a dysfunctional family and has gotten into trouble with the law ever since he left home a few years ago. Currently, he has been sentenced to 6 months in prison for a seemingly minor offense. After a thorough check for potential weapons, Junior is moved into his cell, where he meets his cellmate Eric. They do not share any words, but it is evident that Eric is genuinely scared of something. As the days pass, Junior begins to settle into the rigid prison routine. He often notices Brendan Lynch, a notorious armed robber, playing chess during break time. Brendan also catches the teenager staring in his direction several times, but he does not initiate any conversation. Nevertheless, Brendan seems to be in regular contact with a businessman named S through the prison's phone. Although the two appear to be playing chess through the phone, they are secretly hatching a much deeper plan. One afternoon during lunch break, Junior passes by Brendan as he's playing chess. The teenager sees an opportunity for a checkmate that the notorious criminal hasn't noticed yet and alerts him about the move. Although Brendan is impressed with Junior's sharp mind, he threatens him to respect personal boundaries in the meantime. Junior finds out that Eric is being physically abused by gang leader Dave. They regularly drag him to the prison bathroom while everyone else ignores it as if nothing is happening. One night, as the inmates return back to their cell, Junior notices Eric strapping a razor blade to the back of a toothbrush. It seems that he has finally decided to fight back against the abuse. However, the next morning, Junior wakes up to a horrific scene. Eric is lying on the floor with blood gushing down his throat. The razor blade weapon was not for Dave but rather for committing the unthinkable. Junior frantically calls for help, but his soulmate does not survive. With Eric now dead, Dave and his group begin targeting Junior as their next victim. One evening, as he is returning back to his cell, Junior is cornered by Dave's man. Fortunately, Brendan, alongside his crew, Sterlo and MV, saved him in the nick of time. The notorious criminal boss then calls Junior into his cell for a conversation. Initially, he gives the teenager a lesson about the harsh reality of prison life. Mind your own business or be prepared to fight back, but since Junior does not have enough muscle to fight back by himself, Brendan poses a deal. He will offer him protection for the remainder of his prison sentence, and in return, when Junior gets out, he will have to perform whatever tasks Brendan asks of him. The teenager asks for a few days of time to make a decision. A few days later, Dave and his gang ambush Junior and forcibly drag him to the bathroom, but Brendan and his men once again manage to save him. They also beat out Dave and threw him down the stairs, ending his reign of terror once and for all. In the aftermath of this incident, Junior finally accepts Brendan's deal as per the plan. He will head to Sam's place after his prison sentence is over. The businessman will give him a secure hideout and the necessary weapons with which he has to hijack a helicopter. Then Junior is to force the helicopter pilot to land inside the prison's yard, pick up Brendan and his crew, and flee before the police can catch them. Several months pass by, and the day of Junior's freedom finally arrives, just as he was instructed. The teenager heads straight to Sam, who gives him a beachside apartment as well as a briefcase of Brendan's belongings. Later that evening, Junior arrives at the apartment and is blown away by the glorious views surrounding it. He opens the briefcase and finds fake passports, new clothes, and a pistol in it. That night, a beautiful young woman named Tasha comes to his apartment to use his bathroom. She is one of several women that Sam keeps around him and employs in various tasks. She gives Junior cash and a cell phone for receiving vital instructions. It is obvious that the teenager is smitten with her beauty, but as soon as her task is over, she immediately leaves. Next, Junior goes to a trailer of a retired soldier going by the name of Private Wilson. Just as Brendan instructed him, he obtains a variety of advanced assault weapons from Wilson after a brief lesson on how to handle them. Junior goes to a local touring agency, which arranges helicopter flights, and books a tour. Mid-flight, he takes out a gun from his briefcase and forces the pilot to redirect it towards the prison. In the meantime, Brendan and Sterlo manage to hold a prison guard hostage using a makeshift knife. They force the rest of the guards to open the main gate and rush out of it soon afterwards. Junior arrives with the helicopter, and all of them quickly climb in, leaving behind the hostage. They fly a long way and finally touch down in the middle of a mining field, where Sam's car is waiting for them, leaving the pilot unharmed. They get into the car and vanish from the scene on their way to Sam's safe house. The gang stops for a quick lunch while MV goes in to buy them snacks. A radio broadcast reports the news of their prison break. The reporter goes through each of their names and crimes one by one. To their utter disgust, they find out that MV was serving a sentence for assaulting a schoolgirl years ago. Sterlo and Brendan feel betrayed and disgusted, as MV had hidden this fact from them, so when he returns to the car, Brendan viciously beats him up and throws his unconscious body by the roadside. The remaining trio then drives away and soon reaches Sam's beachside apartment, although Sterlo absolutely loves the luxurious arrangement. Brendan points out that they would be vulnerable in the event of an attack because the apartment is open from all sides. They then travel to Sam's mansion, where they get briefed about their task, to everyone's shock. Backhand index pointing down, the task involves stealing 6 blocks of pure gold right from a mine in the outskirts of Cowgirl. Sam has already arranged security passes to the mine, where they can pose as electricians to enter inside if they are successful. He will pay a whopping $2 million to each of them with such a huge reward. Brandon accepts the deal and begins preparing for the heist later that night at Sam's mansion. Junior spots Tasha. He follows her outside to the swimming pool and tries talking to her, but just then Sam's hot-headed nephew Josh arrives and shoves him into the water. Junior, who doesn't know how to swim, starts struggling and gasping for breath, but Tasha comes to his rescue and drags him out of the water. The two men then begin arguing, only to be broken up by Brendan later. As an embarrassed Junior strolls around the streets, Tasha arrives in her car and invites him to a Chinese restaurant. During dinner, he inquires why she stays with someone old like Sam when she seems to have enough money. In response, she shares a story about what happened to the last girl who tried to run. She was hunted down and killed the following morning. Brendan expresses his anger about the previous night's episode involving Junior and Josh. As a perfectionist, he chastises Junior for letting a woman distract him from the task at hand. Later that afternoon, they relocate to a new hideout arranged by Sam, a rather discreet place deep in the suburbs of Curly. From there, Brendan and Junior travel to the gold mine, checking out the area and making plans for their heist. The scene then cuts to the day of the heist, where the entire group, including Josh, enters the mine. They are disguised as normal-looking electricians. Outside, Brendan's friend and local race car driver, Steve, waits in a getaway vehicle. He also keeps an eye on any potential police arriving at the mine as assigned. Junior climbs inside the mine's ventilation duct and crawls into the room where the impure gold is processed into solid blocks. He suddenly descends from the ventilation duct and holds everyone hostage at gunpoint. This prevents the workers from sounding the panic alarm and clears the path for the rest of the crew to slip in undetected. Once inside, Brendan takes the lead and compels 2 employees to carry out the process of turning the flowing liquid gold into solid bars. Just as everything is going well, Josh panics and ends up shooting an employee's leg. A furious Brendan teaches him a lesson by punching him hard in the face, but the damage has already been done. Shortly afterward, Steve alerts them of approaching police sirens. Along with the rest of the crew, they load up 6 bars of gold and start their exit plan. Disguised as workers, they manage to reach the outer perimeter of the mine without any problems. They then use the hostages as shields and manage to flee the mine in their getaway vehicle. However, several police cars start chasing them, continuously firing at their vehicle. Just as the gang escapes the outskirts of Curly, a bullet rips through Sterlo's abdomen, seriously injuring him. After an intense chase, Steve finally manages to outsmart the cops, causing several pursuing police vehicles to crash into each other. At this point, Sterlo realizes that he won't make it. With his last breath, he asks that his share of the stolen gold be given to his little daughter. That's stupid. What's a kid going to do with gold bars? The group is devastated by his loss, but they have no choice but to move on. Later, they hide their vehicle inside a truck and head towards their safe house. However, Sam instructs them to dispose of the car first and get rid of any evidence. Brendan and Junior drive the car to a faraway location, torch it with Sterlo's body still inside, and then push it off a cliff. While returning to their safe house, Junior receives a message from Tasha, warning that Sam has double-crossed them. This worries the duo, so they discreetly visit a grave where Brendan has stashed some money. They know that Sam is going to convert the gold into cash in Melbourne, so they pack their bags and get on a train to the same city. On the train, Junior is reunited with Tasha, and the two end up hooking up in the washroom. It's as hot as it is sanitary. After reaching Melbourne, they find a cheap hotel to stay in to avoid attracting unwanted attention. However, Brendan is not in favor of the budding romance between them. One night, while Tasha is out getting some takeaway food, Brendan cautions Junior that she could be a roadblock in their future plans because of her promiscuous past. To ensure a smooth path ahead, Brendan promises to give Junior a larger chunk of money and asks him to cut ties with her. Unfortunately, Tasha witnesses this exchange and is deeply hurt. She runs away in frustration, but Junior chases after her, desperately trying to explain his side of the story. Tasha instead warns Junior that once the job is complete, Brendan might abandon him, just like he suggested doing with her. In the meantime, one of Sam's hitmen, Wayne, tracks down the motel and finds Brendan inside. He directs his gun at Brendan and announces that Sam has placed a price on his head. However, Brendan manipulates the situation by convincing Wayne that Sam has played him too. He then asks for Wayne's help and promises to reward him with a larger sum of money. Upon hearing this, the greedy Wayne immediately accepts the offer. Early the next morning, Junior and Brendan set out for the site where Sam is supposed to be handing in the bricks of gold. They arrive just in time to see Josh giving the briefcase containing the gold bars to the dealer. Suddenly, their exchange is interrupted by Wayne, who arrives out of nowhere in his pickup truck. He charges at them at full speed and slams his truck into Josh's car, killing several men in the process. Brendan takes the opportunity to take out the remaining men and retrieve the briefcase with the first part of their mission accomplished. Junior and Brendan head towards Sam's place as they have a score to settle with him. Upon reaching there, Brendan wastes no time and shoots Sam twice in the gut, bringing their rivalry to a brutal end. In the aftermath, Brendan and Junior find a motel to spend the night. While Brendan conceals the suitcase of gold under the bed, Junior makes an excuse to go outside and mails the motel's location and room keys to Tasha. The two then buy a boat for themselves, planning to leave the country for good. Early the next morning, Brendan and Junior set off in their boat. However, just as Tasha had warned, Brendan betrays the teenager, offering him only a small cut of the gold. After spending several months with a master criminal like Brendan, Junior has learned a few tricks of his own. He had already anticipated this betrayal, so he boldly reveals that he had given the motel's location to Tasha. She then took the gold bars, replaced them with useless stones, and hid the real thing somewhere else. Enraged at the revelation, Brendan drags Junior into the water, and the two engage in an intense scuffle. After a while, only Brendan emerges to the surface, as Junior cannot swim. But Brendan soon pulls the drowning boy out, and the duo once again climbs onto the boat. Eventually, Brendan sees no point in fighting and concedes that the teenager has outsmarted him. On the other hand, Junior promises that he will send Brendan his fair share of the money and then leaves on a small boat towards the shore. Later, Brendan goes back to living in the motel where he is eventually captured and sent back to prison after a local woman recognizes his face. The final scene shows Brendan as a changed man, someone who has accepted his fate. But several months later, he receives a message from Junior detailing the location of his share of the gold. This brings a renewed sense of hope in Brendan as he gazes out of his cell's window. Remember to subscribe for daily videos. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.